nostalgic.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Wax Nostalgic, a podcast where we turn the clock back on the good old days. I'm your co-host, Graham Johnstone.
I'm Sam Bagnall.
And I'm Ryan, does the puns Kerwin.
Great. We're excited to come at you with a new episode here today.
We thought we'd try something new and just do a new episode.
Yeah, instead of doing an old episode, we'll do that later as kind of callbacks to old episodes.
Well, I feel like we've actually been calling back to episodes, which is fun.
Totally,
that's true.
Yeah.
But you have to listen in order.
You gotta listen in order, otherwise there's lore now developing.
You're not
gonna miss
get
it.
all the
That's
jokes.
true. You don't know who Disco Savage is.
Yes, exactly.
But I do.
How?
Yeah, so just to get us started off, we're going to talk about books we remember from when we were kids or young adults. And anyone want to get us started?
I can go.
Okay, Ryan.
Go
Awesome. Yeah, so I was thinking about this, and I feel like there's kind of like this golden era for me of just like really loving some particular series. And it was kind of around like age 11, 12, 13, that kind of thing. And so there's like two series that stick out in my brain, and I wonder if you guys have read either of them. One of them was the Artemis Fowl series.
No.
Artemis Fowl.
Oh, have you not even heard of this?
The name sounds super familiar, but I couldn't tell you anything about it. So,
Okay.
So no.
It was
basically.
It was so good. I mean, honestly, I feel like as an adult, someone reading it for the first time might still enjoy it. It's kind of like middle grade fiction, I think they call it. So like similar to like Harry Potter or that kind of age range sort of thing.
Is it about a duck?
Or some other sort of water bird.
No, it's about a 12-year-old boy. I don't know. He's like a kid who's a super genius.
Okay.
And I'm going to push the bounds of my memory. I believe his father was some sort of like big villain type guy and just like went missing. So Artemis ends up in charge of the kind of this fortune. And again, there's some gaps here, but I don't remember exactly what the connection is, but he is led to believe or comes to believe that this world of fairies that exists kind of parallel to the human world is somehow responsible for his father's disappearance or something like that. So he comes up with this plan to kidnap a leprechaun. And
like it so far.
yeah.
Sign me up.
Sounds cool.
And so the fun part is the whole like fairy society just lives underground, but it's like even more technologically advanced than the human realm because there's like some magic and stuff like that as well. And so like the fairy that he kidnaps, in fact, they call it a leprechaun, but it's because she's part of the LEP recon unit.
Yes.
Yeah, she's
That's amazing.
police officer. Holly Short, I believe is her name. And yeah, the lower elements police recon. He kidnaps her, and of course all the fairies bring down their wrath upon him. And he ends up kind of coming away with some of the stuff that he wanted, and then there's several books in the series where he and Holly start to become frenemies over time, and they help each other out.
And lovers eventually. Or?
Well, I want to believe
That's in the it grows with the consumer. So
That's
at some
like-
point
yeah.
it gets into like 50 Shades of Sparkles or whatever. The, like,
right, exactly.
Holly Short.
That's kind of how I feel like Harry Potter developed. Like
Totally.
At least the movie. I never read the books. So the
Yeah.
movies were like very like. Oh, where it's a fun kid movie, and then at the end, I was
Right.
like, "Oh man, this got like
dark
This is
and
like
serious,
young adult, like
yeah.
more."
I kind of appreciated that. Yeah, we can talk
Yeah.
about Harry Potter a little bit. I'm sure we
I'm
will.
gonna talk
You're going to talk
about it.
about it?
Yeah,
Okay,
okay,
well,
yeah.
all right. Well, the only thing I'll say about it is I did appreciate that you could kind of like grow up with the characters.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, but we can talk about it more on your one. But yeah, no, it was also, there was a, one of the things I loved about this series, and maybe I don't need to talk about that, I'm talking about this one quite a bit, but the author, I believe his name is pronounced Ian, but it's like E-I-O-N or E-O-I-N.
Eon?
He's
Eon?
Irish. Ian Colfer.
E-I-E-I-O-N.
Yeah. It might be Yoan or something. Yeah. But he came up with his own script, which was essentially just like an alphabet, one for one, A through Z, but like with little pictographs or whatever you want to say, hieroglyphs.
Is this like a language for the
Yes.
universe essentially?
Yeah, for like
Okay.
the fairy people.
Nice.
And so you see it in a few little messages that are like in pictures in the book. But then in the bottom of the actual novels, he had like a message that spelled out like over the course of several pages as you go. And one of his big pet just like causes is environmentalism and stuff like that, because that's one of the things is humanity is ruining the planet, but like the fairies are the ones who want to protect it, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So I remember being in a car on a long car journey, just like trying to decipher this thing, and I didn't write anything down. I like memorized all these things, and I was just like reading it as I went, and it was all about like go plant some trees and stop throwing your trash in the ocean.
Touch grass, bitch.
Right, exactly. And I was horribly car sick by the end of it, but I was really proud of myself for like memorizing this new script and reading it on the bottom of the book. Yeah.
Wow. So you can speak, what is that?
Gnomish, I think they call it in the book. Yeah.
Gnomish, ooh.
Although they do have gnomes, so maybe they're the only ones who speak Gnomish.
Fairy script.
Mulch Diggums is the main.
Mulch Diggums.
I need to read this book.
Yeah.
Mulch
amazing.
Diggums is like a name that is so right up the Sammy Bags alley. Like that is a
Excellent.
name that I would use for a character in something.
Fantastic. Well, then the thing I'll tell you is they did make a movie adaptation like 3 or 4 years ago. And this series was coming out when I was like 11, 12. I think up through the time I was in college. So it was like early 2000s to like up to maybe 2010, something like that. So this movie adaptation was quite late. And I don't know what drugs they were on when they decided to adapt it in this particular way.
Okay.
Josh Gad played Mulch Diggums, which was fine, but they like turned him into a narrator, and then they just like tweaked a lot of the plot points from the novels and stuff
Why
like
did
that.
they do that?
Yeah, I
It
don't
feels
know.
like it happens all the time, and it's like, what? There's already a story. Just do it.
Right. So I think I had already read the reviews before I watched it to say that it was a terrible adaptation, but like as such a fan of the books when I was a kid, I was like, I got to see what they did with this.
Sure.
And sometimes it's fun to just feel this like righteous indignation of just like,
How dare you?
yeah, you've taken something I loved and done this to it, you
That's
monsters.
how I feel about Borderlands.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I didn't watch the movie, but was it terrible?
I didn't.
Is it a movie or a show?
It was started off as a video game franchise.
Right, Yeah.
And then they made a movie out of it, and it was considered one of the worst movies like ever made.
Oh, sick.
Yeah,
Good.
they completely fucking ruined it.
That's pretty new, too,
I actually
right?
I haven't even seen it because I'm waiting. I don't want to spend the money. I don't want to support that
Yeah.
kind of terrible art.
Right.
So I'll
Wait
wait
till
for
it's on
streaming or
Max
whatever.
or
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly.
Yeah, no, that is a...
And then I will spite eat popcorn.
Right.
Throw it at your own TV.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Yeah, I didn't watch the Artemis Fowl movie in the theaters for a similar reason.
Yeah.
But it came
So
on
was it like what did you think? Like
of the adaptation?
overall, was it?
Don't watch it if you
Okay.
like the books. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, unless you want to hate watch it. I think that's the only way that it can be
Okay.
appropriate.
Got
I don't
it.
even think that kids would like it. Like that's one of the things where it's like, okay, it's
But it was a kid's book.
right, exactly. So
Okay.
you know that's where I'm trying to check myself and be like, am I only disliking this because now I'm too old for it? But I just honestly think that all the changes they made were unnecessary
Yep.
and just like killed a lot of the fun. I think like Dame Judi Dench was like one of the main people who they put in it. I think they like gender swapped her role for some reason as well. So it's like, I don't know, all these little things where it's just, seems like,
Why?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I probably won't talk about the second series because I've gone on so long about that one, but I'll just give you the name since I already brought it up. The Bartimaeus trilogy. Have you guys ever
Also
heard of
not
this?
heard of that, no.
No.
Okay, the 10-second version is.
Talk about it a little bit.
Okay, I can talk about it a little bit. Twist my arm.
Not a lot, but like a little.
Yeah. I'll just say every third word that I mean to say.
Yeah, that's going to be tough.
yeah.
but I'm ready.
The of is no, I'm just kidding. The Bartimaeus trilogy of books is I skipped a few words there. It's a similar sort of thing where it's like a real world with like magic parallels. I guess also kind of like Harry Potter.
Sure. Common thread.
Yeah, it's also middle grade type thing. But it's a world where it's kind of like 100 something years ago, London, and all the like aristocracy, like all the government, that kind of stuff, are people who are like magically talented, you might say, but they don't have magical powers themselves. They just are taught the ways to summon beings from another dimension. They call them Jinn in the books, DJINN, spirits,
Oh, yeah.
various things.
I've heard about those.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
And so it's like in various cultures
Precursor
they have
to
different.
genies.
Yeah, right.
basically.
Yeah, they don't have the eye yet. But yeah, so they basically are taught how to summon these creatures that can then do their bidding, and they can, imbue them into objects to give them magical properties, or they can enslave them and say, like, you're under my charge until you complete these tasks. And the main conflict is set up by, again, a precocious young genius. He's maybe 11 years old. Precocious is one of our
young
favorite
child,
words
yes.
on this podcast.
His name is Graham? In the book?
Close. It's Nathaniel.
Oh yeah, that's close enough, right?
Close, yeah.
Or John Mandrake. Because the thing is, if you know someone's true name, you have power over them. So he's born as Nathaniel. He is insulted by an older magician, so he decides to get revenge by summoning a spirit that is outside of his supposed skill level, called Bartimaeus. And when he charges Bartimaeus to spy on this other magician, Bartimaeus ends up learning his birth name, Nathaniel. So now he has this kind of hold over him. So for the rest of the series, they're kind of stuck with each other because Bartimaeus doesn't want to have to do the bidding of Nathaniel, but Nathaniel doesn't want to let Bartimaeus go and maybe be summoned by a rival magician who can then use his name against him, that kind of stuff.
Sounds cool.
Yeah, so there's just a lot of intrigue. It's kind of a little more mature. There's characters die and things like that. But you end up with these.
I don't think kids can handle that.
Right. Well, you end up in the first book. It's told from two points of view. Bartimaeus is first person, and then Nathaniel's stories are kind of more third person, but focusing on him. They add another character in later books, Kitty, who's kind of a resistance fighter, who's just a regular human, and they all kind of end up colliding. But yeah, I've spoken about this longer than I said I would. But it's a really good series.
Is there a movie? The adaptation for that one?
No, I have been waiting for a long time, but now that I've seen the Artemis one, I mean, honestly, so okay.
Let's make one.
It's no, hear me out, guys. Let's do it.
What I will say is, you guys know, and I don't know if I've talked about it much on here, but I'm working on a short film right now, and I did almost one for one just steal a lot of the mechanics for summoning spirits from that series.
I love it.
Yeah, so it's I wouldn't say it's stealing, it's more like an homage, because I did change things, but yeah, my movie's about a woman summoning demons into her husband's body, and the way she does that is very reminiscent of the way that Nathaniel and the other magicians summon these jinn.
And the main character's name is Nathaniel, and the demon's name is Bartimaeus.
Actually, the main woman's name is Natasha, which is kind of like Nathaniel.
Whoa.
But that name comes from a palindrome. Satan sees Natasha. So it's the same forward and backwards.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's deep.
Well,
all right. Sick.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking about this stuff and let you guys get on to your topics. But yeah, I do love books. I don't read as much as I want to these days, but I'm trying to get back into it a little more. But yeah, back in the day, those were the books that I read voraciously. So
cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. That was great. I'm going to have to write those down to read
just
them in
listen to the podcast again. Yeah.
Audiobook them.
Yeah, there you go. I have listened to the audiobooks of the Bartimaeus ones, and they do hold up.
So. Want me to go next? What you got?
I can chat at you.
Yeah.
Cool.
And slap my lips a little bit.
Do that and then say some words. Yeah.
So I also was a voracious reader.
Excellent. And precocious, perhaps.
Yes. Yeah. When I was a kid.
Precocious young genius.
Definitely was always reading. The library was one of the places I spent most of good portion of my time.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember wandering around the books or whatever, the aisles of books, and what is this one about or whatever, and I'd find one that was oh, this is super cool. So I mean, I could probably talk about books for a long time, a lot of different books, but
ad infinitum.
Yes. But I think one of the ones that the earliest novel series that really captured my imagination was Hardy Boys.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Little mystery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was, but I think it was because it was these boys and they're always smarter than the adults.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
These,
naturally. I've seen Boss Baby. I know what's up.
Whoever these cops in these small towns that the Hardy Boys are in are idiots. Come on. I think I don't remember specifically, but I believe that the kids were teenage boys. They were teenagers because they drove cars around and stuff, But they were always they were always solving mysteries. For those of you who don't know, it's I think the Hardy Boys was 50s. Was it a 50s or 60s era?
It was definitely before our times, but lingered into our time. Yeah.
So
it sounds about right.
They were these teenage boys that were in the 50s or 60s, probably the 60s really, and they went around and they always were getting into solving mysteries, and some of them were normal murder mysteries, and other ones were supernatural mysteries, and then other ones were finding treasure, and for whatever reason that kind of stuff has always piqued my interest. I've always liked that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah. Like the Goonies.
The Goonies, yeah exactly. The movie that I had no idea what it was until I was
that movie
20.
With the fat kid.
Yeah.
And I don't know. And they were like, so, and I think the other thing I liked about them, because I was, relatively young, and the books were like, a little bit thicker.
Right.
Yeah.
And granted, the print was like big, and they had pictures in them. But I always, it's like you're reading a book like that, and you're oh man, I'm above my grade like reading level.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm so
totally.
cool.
Yeah.
So and then I just remember there were like some words in there that I learned, like gumshoe.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know what that was until I started reading those books.
Sam, you're making a face like you don't know what a gumshoe
Don't
is.
know what a gumshoe is.
Detective.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's
cool.
like a
I didn't know
it's like
that.
a colloquial term.
You're like, I learned this when I was 12, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh.
And then and then the other thing, I don't know why this sticks with me, but like there was a character, one of their friends whose name was Chet.
Oh, okay.
And I'd never heard that name before, and I was like, "What the fuck? Like,
You didn't
what is
watch
Chet?
Fairly Odd Parents? Chet You Betcha.
Chechu?
Oh, is that a
Chet You
kid?
Betcha. He was a
Oh.
newscaster. This is Chet You Betcha.
Chet You
Anyway,
Betcha.
anyway,
To
sorry.
keep talking about jazz musicians, there was Chet Baker, I think, was a
Baker.
sax player back in the day. So.
Oh, yeah. Louis Armstrong.
Yeah, Louis Armstrong. Lewis.
Of course, Lewis, good old Lewis. And then, so yeah, that series was like I was just nose deep, and I would just read each one. But we were also talking about this, and I think there was a girl version, and it was called Nancy Drew.
Yeah.
And it was I believe I didn't really read those books, but I believe it was exactly the same, only with this like
Yeah.
girl that like figured stuff out.
That's my impression. I to be honest,
Yeah.
I haven't read either series, but like we've spoken before about my family's cabin up in Minnesota, and so there were always like these books on the shelf that had been around since my mom and her sisters were kids and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure both those series were like next to each other on the shelves.
Probably.
So they've always been associated in my brain.
Nowadays, it would have just been the Hardy Crew, and she would have been on it.
That's true.
Right,
yeah,
exactly.
And there would have been at least one other girl, and then the boys,
Yeah. Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
if there
true.
was two of them.
We should remake that too.
That's a good idea. They did make a Nancy Drew
Hardy
movie
Gang?
like 10 years ago.
You're
yeah.
right, they did. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
Me neither.
But I think it was supposed to be decent. But it was like, for like kids mostly. So, yeah.
There's a lot of movies that are for kids that I love. So
For sure, yeah. But not Artemis Fowl.
I can't
What?
confirm or deny.
No, I'm
that.
telling
What
you, you won't love it.
year? What year like did Artemis Fowl? Around what year was that?
The movie?
No, the books. When
Oh, it was, it started coming out like 2001.
Okay.
And I think, they were still releasing them in like 2008, 9, 10. So, yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and then like I said, I could talk more about like because I'm just now remembering like the Boxcar Children.
Oh, man. Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
and then I got a little bit older, and there was this it was a series of novels, and they were like that thick. They were like 1,000 pages or something, and God, I can't remember what they were called, but they were books about these like woodland creatures who lived in
Redwall.
Redwall.
Is
yes,
that it?
that's
Yeah.
exactly
Redwall.
what-
Brian Jakes. Yeah.
Yeah, those were cool.
Dude, I had
that like that crossed briefly through my mind when we were talking about this topic, but I don't remember them well enough to talk hard
wow,
on
how
them.
did I forget those? Because I've read like
Those were
all
cool.
of those.
I used to
Yeah.
read. I read all of them too. I used to have all the books. It was like this. You know,
Yeah.
the stack of books was like
Yeah, they were hefty.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was funny because I realized at a certain point that like a lot of the plots were like very similar between books.
Yeah.
But like I kind of didn't care because it was fun and like
these
escapism.
woodland creatures are like knights and
Right.
Oh yeah,
like
yeah,
they
yeah.
had like
Well, they also had like generations. So like Martin the Warrior was like in certain novels he was like a historical figure that they
That's
like
right.
didn't even realize if he was real or not. That kind of thing.
Totally. I like
Yeah.
totally forgot all the like lore around these, but
Yeah.
I just was like obsessed with these books.
Yeah.
I remember one time I got one of the novels and I spent all weekend reading it. I like read it in like 3 days
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah. No, those were good books. Yeah.
Meryl Fox. Wasn't Meryl Fox one of the characters in it?
It
Probably.
sounds right. But
think so.
I tapped myself out with Martin the Warrior.
I'll have to like look at a wiki and like refresh
Right.
my memory because I know there's a lot of like
Oh my god! I bet I still have those books like in a box at my parents' house somewhere.
I
have them too.
I remember like I don't know why, but I remember one of the scenes they were describing was like one of the feasts they had. And, like,
Oh yeah, they did that
all
a
the
lot.
berry jams and the crumpet or whatever. like
Salamandastron. I think that was the name
Yeah.
of like one of the castles or something like
Okay.
that.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
Man.
Yeah.
and they
Wow,
would, like,
that is
they
like
would sail around, right? Like there was like
Yeah, yeah.
ocean
Yeah.
battles or with
Yeah.
like pirates and I don't know.
All kinds of
man.
adventures. Yeah,
It was
depending
cool.
on.
Yeah.
You as an audience are experiencing us just unlocking these memories in
Right.
real time. Like, Wow.
I forgot about
Yeah,
that.
holy smokes.
Believe it or not, this was not a scripted segment. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what those, but this. I always just became like engulfed in the stories, like
Yes.
just lost in.
Yeah, I remember
They were
like
good.
the first ones I read, it was like my friend had them and he lent them to me.
Yeah.
And then after I read those first ones, I was just like, I need to read all
Yeah,
of
I
these.
need all of them.
Wasn't there a map in the beginning of
Yes,
the book?
most of them-
Yeah,
yeah,
I remember
yep.
that because I always loved looking at the map.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like I loved those things as a kid. Like
Yeah.
so many of those books had the little map, like Lord of the Rings had
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. We didn't even talk about Lord of the Rings, but
Yeah, that's
It's a whole nother episode.
yeah.
Yeah, so all right, I'll end it there.
that
But
was a good
we'll have
one.
to we'll have to maybe
Yeah.
revisit Redwall since we've all you read it too.
Yeah,
So we
yeah.
all read. So yeah, maybe we
Right.
should talk about that at some
Wow,
point
yeah,
again.
that's a memory unlock. It did
Gosh.
like briefly cross through my mind. I was like, what were those animal books?
Yeah.
And then I kind of was like, I have, as I start my subject, I had an idea for how this was going to start, and over the course of Ryan and Graham talking, there's been
Ooh.
like 30 different series
Yeah.
and books that I've like, oh shit, I should talk about Magic Treehouse,
Oh yeah, I
And,
forgot about that one.
Boxcar Children.
Yeah.
And like all of these things are getting unlocked in my brain, and that Redwall is another one. But
Yeah.
I'll start off by saying my original topic was going to start with Bailey School Kids. I don't know if you remember the Bailey School Kids. They
know
were
the
like
name.
elementary school level
Okay.
books.
What year or what like time?
I mean, it was probably late 90s.
Okay.
Maybe early 2000s, maybe. But it was like the books were like, pretty thin, and they were all about like monsters, but they were like
cool.
Dracula's don't drink lemonade, ghosts don't
I remember
eat
those
potato
titles. Yes,
chips,
yeah.
ghouls don't serve ice cream,
Right.
mummies don't whatever, I can't remember the
Right.
mummy one, werewolves don't go to summer camp.
Right.
Like it was all these things where it was like these like classic horror monsters, but they were like these kids were seeing these people in their community that they were
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh, that person's definitely a witch or that person's a ghost. But why does the ghost, work at the movie theater or
Yeah.
whatever? And that was just like these kind of like spooky, like
Yeah.
monster books, but it was always like the, kind of a misunderstood horror
Right.
movie monster that was not really that, but it was like these kids kind
Yeah.
of, it was ambiguous if it was ever really a monster, if it was
Right.
somebody that these kids were like, this person seems like a ghost or
Yeah.
whatever.
Maybe more of a lesson in just like don't judge people by appearances.
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
something like that. It's been a long enough time, but I remember just loving those. Like I had the whole collection of them.
Nice.
Wow.
So that was something that I really liked. As a like middle schooler, I got super into Harry Potter, read all the Harry Potter books, loved the Harry Potter books. I'm actually in the midst of rereading those books right now.
Oh, nice.
So I'm on Half-Blood Prince,
Okay.
like working my way through Half-Blood
Yeah.
Prince, just
that's
whenever
the
I get some free time.
sixth one?
Sixth.
Okay, yeah.
Just whenever I have free time. It's not like something I read every day or whatever, but
Yeah.
they're so good. And like I remember reading them as a kid, as a preteen or whatever, and being
Yeah.
like, whoa, like oh my gosh, and feeling the characters growing up with you
Right.
and all of that.
Yeah.
But then as I reread them as an adult, I'm like, dude, it's like it's writing that the world couldn't live without. Like the
Yeah.
writing and the actual like stories involved are so brilliant and so ingenious, and just like it's, I mean, what I would have considered like kids teenager books as an adult, I'm like everybody should read. I will read them all the way through 10 more times in my lifetime.
So what do you
Yeah.
think the books compared to the movies?
Honestly, of most book/movie type situations where they do a movie adaptation, I think that the Harry Potter series did a really good job for the most part. They left out some characters and some certain instances, but really they did a pretty good job of telling the stories accurately and properly. They left
good.
some stuff out for sure. I read through reading through the books, I was hanging out with my buddy the other, month ago or 2 months ago or whatever, and him and his kid were watching like Prisoner of Azkaban or one of the movies, and I was watching it and I'm like, well, that that didn't happen, or oh, that didn't happen that way. Oh, that's in the wrong room. Like, oh yeah, why are they doing it in this room when it was actually in this room? Oh, like why
So
isn't
it's
this
like little
character?
kind of minor like changes or whatever.
Small stuff that like I wouldn't have really even remembered if I wasn't actively like going through the books at the time. But there are some things where I'm like, oh, that didn't happen. Oh. They skipped over this part, like so there are definite differences, but they still did a really good job. And like the casting of that movie, it's like they're talking about redoing the Harry Potter series.
No, I think they're developing a TV
show.
series now. Yeah, and I saw that announced, and I was just like, but they made the movies because like to me it's just like
how
that
can
is
you
the
recast
adaptation.
Harry Potter?
Right, exactly. Like Daniel Radcliffe has managed to get himself out of being typecast
somehow,
as we've discussed on the podcast.
But Harry Potter is typecast as Daniel Radcliffe.
Right, exactly. Like that is him. He is Harry Potter. Yeah,
sure.
Harry Potter.
And like Alan Rickman is Snape. Like I saw something where they're they've cast so and so as Snape, and I'm like, I've never even heard of that guy.
Yeah, and also
he's not
no,
And he played a really good Snape.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and he was also in Die Hard, which is the best movie of all time. But that's a whole other topic.
So
Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? Yes or no?
I don't discuss that.
There will be an episode about that come late December.
Another month, yes.
So Harry Potter was super important to me, but like all of these other ones, briefly, if I have a little bit more time, another really important series to me that didn't come into my mind until like you were halfway through talking, Graham, but Lemony Snicket series of unfortunate events.
I never read those, but I always like felt I would have liked them.
I did. Same.
I loved those books. I loved them. And then the movie came out that was
with Jim Carrey, right?
Jim Carrey adaptation. They've like made a bunch of different adaptions of it. Yeah. And I like it came out when I was young enough, not like a kid, but like, young adult or whatever. And I was disappointed because I was like, it just wasn't like they tried to pack too much in, basically.
Gotcha.
Well, how do you make a whole series into one movie or books and that's like a 6-hour movie.
Totally, exactly.
To do it right.
So then they more recently in the past couple of years have come out with a TV series of it.
Yeah,
and it's way better.
Isn't it? Is it like Neil Patrick Harris or something like that?
Neil Patrick Harris is Count Olaf.
Right,
but. It's way better because it's episodic. They're able to split these things into a bunch of episodes versus one movie, So, but I loved those books, and there was like a video game, like a GameCube game for around the movie, and I like loved that game. Good? It was okay. I remember loving it because I loved
just
the
because of the fact you loved the
original. It
property.
Was like clunky, clunky movie-based games often are.
I was gonna say, I feel like a lot of those ones are kind of just trying to cash in, but like as a kid, you kind of don't care. You're just like, I love this game.
Sign me up. Like this is sweet, and it follows through the story, and you're like, whoa, cool. But it like looking back, it was certainly clunky. Kind of just like a puzzly game type of deal. But I was like super into the series of unfortunate events. Like it was So I was a book reader. I know we established in a previous episode that I can't read, but that's actually that's actually not true.
You're an audiobook reader.
I love audiobooks, but I do like to read, and I loved to read as a young person.
Yeah.
So
young child.
I was moved up in reading classes because I was advanced for my age. So I was always reading like 3rd grade. I was reading like 6th grade level. 6th grade level. I was reading like high school level.
Yeah.
Just tooting my own horn over here. Hey, ladies, I'm super smart.
And then you wrote a textbook.
And then I wrote a textbook.
When you were 15.
Yep.
Wait, did you? Is this something I don't know about you?
I did not.
Oh, okay.
It's a total joke.
Yeah, I wrote a textbook on how to lie to Ryan on a podcast in 10 years from now.
That must be the shortest textbook. Just tell him things that aren't true.
Yeah. Navigating Ryan Kerwin for Dummies.
That's too easy.
Published by Ryan Kerwin.
That's right. I don't remember writing that.
Whoa.
Bum, bum, bum.
Shit just got wild.
I am pretty gullible sometimes. Often.
Anyway, so I think that's enough about literature for the time being, unless you guys have any burning desires to talk about.
I can talk more about books later.
Yeah,
we can definitely
do more.
Bust through another book or two episode.
Yeah, there's a lot to leaf through there. I'm trying to give a good book verb.
Good, yeah. All right. Well, cool. We're going to browse off to our not sponsors. So thanks for listening to the first half, and we'll be back in just a sec.
See ya.
Don't you love water?
I drink it to hydrate myself.
Hey guys, water's for pussies.
Uh-oh.
I present to you Blue Chair Bay Rum. This is Kenny Chesney's rum.
You want to drink like Kenny Chesney?
Great. Hydrating.
I will not be having a sip of that, but it
Tastes
looks
like,
delicious.
Tastes like
Pirates.
tastes like pirate's booty.
Like the
The popcorn, not the... Drink Pirate Bay rum, or whatever that is. Not Pirate Bay rum.
Blue Chair.
Blue Chair
Blue
rum.
Chair Bay tastes like sunscreen. Blue Chair Bay tastes like the ocean breeze.
Blue Chair
Salty.
Bay. Tastes like liquid in a glass bottle.
Blue Chair Bay tastes like freedom.
Kenny Chesney.
Kenny Chesney tastes like freedom too. Don't ask me how I know how.
today.
Blue Chair Bay is not gay.
Probably doesn't have any preference.
I love it. Let's send it on that one. Let's send it on that one. All right. Welcome back to this second half of this episode. We're excited to talk about something a little bit sleepy. Specifically sleepovers. Sleepovers from when we were kids and all of the fun and games that come along with that. So buckle in.
Buckle up.
Put on your PJ jammers and cozy up.
You better, even if you're driving.
Yeah, even
PJ
if you're
jammers.
driving.
Yeah. Can I go first again? I know I went first last time, but
Yeah, fine.
I want to do a little segue.
Oh, what are you segueing?
So one of the last things that
water-
Sam talked about was
Fights episode.
no. Well, no, I will
They were
segue
going to
from
get a
that.
little wet. I think is what you said. Damp or
Yeah.
whatever.
No.
Anyway,
Actually,
continue,
it'll be a
sorry.
double segue. So the first segue will be a Harry Potter related thing.
Okay.
Because you were talking about Harry Potter in the last.
This relates to sleepover?
It does, yes.
Okay.
So, one of the most memorable sleepovers of my late teens, so like not like a little kid sleepover, but the last Harry Potter book was being released. And I was going to be in the States. No, I was living in the States at that point. So I was going to be in Minnesota. I lived in Colorado. I was going to be in Minnesota visiting family there. And I have a cousin who's my age. And we were pretty close growing up and that kind of thing. And her mom had pre-ordered her the 7th Harry Potter book. And so since I was going to be in town as well, she was like, I should get one for Ryan too. So she pre-ordered
that's
it for
nice
me.
of her.
It was very nice.
Yeah.
And then also my cousin had made plans with like 2 of her good friends to just like put a tent in one of their backyards and just like stay up all night reading the Harry Potter book. And so my aunt was like, why don't you invite your cousin? So
That's funny.
Had
that,
you read the other books prior to that?
yes,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
no, of course, yeah.
I mean, it's funny to think that reading a book would be a group activity.
Yeah, no, it was, yeah.
It's like, I mean, I see watching a movie, but like
Reading it aloud,
Yes.
chapter by chapter.
No, so here's the thing. So like,
Now, is everybody silent in the tent reading it?
that's how it went, yeah. But here's the thing. So when we were growing up, like, the books were still coming out. And it was the sort of thing where every year when a new book came out, it would come out in England first. And that's where my family was living for a lot of this. And so we'd get the English version, bring it to our cousins. They'd have it before all their friends.
Like what? Like was it a year prior to the
It was like
U.S. release? Or something?
I think as it went on, it became closer and closer. But like early on, it was maybe like 6 months.
Wow.
that
So
kind of
then
thing.
that's like
Then it was
big
just
time.
a few hours to account for time
right,
difference.
exactly. Yeah. No, they probably just released at the same time because they just opened the boxes. But yeah, good one. No, good one. But yeah, so like it was a thing that we as cousins and family had all like really, we used to play Harry Potter make believe games, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it totally made sense. But what ended up happening, because again, it was a very kind sentiment from my aunt and kind of my cousin to agree, but it ended up with me in a tent with my cousin and 2 girls who I did not know.
Nice. I like where this story's going.
wow.
Just reading silently for like 4 or 5 hours until we all one by one fell asleep.
Yeah. It's a real
man.
thrill
Yeah,
ride.
it's thrilling.
Yeah, it went exactly where you thought, right?
That's funny because I was like, wait a minute, that does not sound like it doesn't sound like a fun group activity to me.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was I was enthralled in the book, but I was
As was
like,
everyone else. It
oh
sounds like.
yeah, no,
Not
for
a
sure,
peep.
right? But yeah, in the back
Did you
of my
guys
mind,
have like hot chocolate or popcorn?
I
or-
think we literally just had sleeping bags and flashlights and books. That was, the extent of the sleepover part
It
of
probably made more sense to just like extension cord a lamp out into there so that everyone could use
true,
the
huh?
same light source. Like,
No, that's crazy.
we're all going to be reading at the same time, so we might as well have one central light source.
you use
Honestly, maybe we
candlelight,
did.
or-
No, it was either flashlights or maybe we did like
Problem
put
is
a
you
lamp out.
burn.
I can't
You
remember.
potentially could burn the book, and then
but that's true.
then
yeah.
what? Then you have to steal the book from one of the girls,
Right, exactly. Yeah, gotta
which is fine.
overpower them. Yeah,
Girls have cuties anyway,
right.
especially when you're a late teenager.
Right. But it was totally fine. There was nothing like weird about it other than the fact that we were just like so quiet. Like I'm sure it was awkward for them to have this strange guy in their tent sleepover Harry Potter party. But yeah, thank you for including me.
Man, dude, there's been a lot of Harry Potter talk this episode.
yeah.
mean, yeah,
Well, I brought that one
so-
in intentionally. Like
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
yeah, no, that's
I
true.
love it.
But yeah, so that was like the specific sleepover I remember. The other one is yes, a callback to the water fight episode where I was like, won't talk about this because it was a friend that I had a lot of sleepovers with, but I will talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was like my best friend from my elementary school in England. We just got into this habit of having sleepovers every week, and it's funny because I don't remember exactly. We weren't the best friends initially, but at one point we were being reassigned seats in our classroom because we had seats we had to sit in every day, and we were allowed to put in like our preference of who we wanted to sit by, and then the teacher kind of took those and made a map of where everyone was sitting. And I was closer with a different friend at that time. He was called Michael. My friend who I had the sleepovers with was called William. And I remember Michael and I heard the teacher say, well, you might not get your first preference, you might get your second. And we're like, we're going to game the system. We're going to put each other second.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Not realizing that was a stupid thing because like she was just saying that was, if things didn't work out.
Yeah, it might happen.
Right.
But
So I think I put William first and we ended up sitting next to each other and then ended up becoming like best friends.
Oh wow. So it
match made
actually
in
worked
heaven,
out.
Fate.
It did work out,
Yeah.
yeah. And Michael and I were still good friends, but like not
Michael.
sleepover friends.
Where's Michael now?
I probably still in the UK.
What was his last name?
I don't know if we
Don't
should say.
dox him.
Yeah.
All right, TikTok, do your work.
Yeah, do
Let's
your work,
find this guy.
TikTok. No, I didn't say it.
Lost connections. TikTok got lost connections.
Right. But yeah, no, William and I, we would just like, it would be, we'd switch over whose house we went to. But I think actually probably aired on going to his house more just because I think I mentioned this last time. He lived on this like big farm area. So there was like a ton of stuff to do.
That's cool.
And yeah, we would play video games, watch movies. That's where I first saw like
Those are all the
American Pie
farm
movies.
things.
Yeah, right.
All those farm
Every time I go
activities.
to a farm, all I want to
Yeah.
do is play video
Well, we
games.
also actually I did mention him. We talked about bicycles on a previous episode, and I mentioned my friend who was going over the jumps and like fell off and scraped his knee and like almost passed out. That was the same
Wow,
friend.
this is callback city.
Yeah, but like yeah, the more farm thing. There was like a big sign from like a pig farm or like pork store or something like that, which they had in the garage, which his dad let us adapt into like a little buggy car sort of thing.
Oh, fun.
So we initially had like a pram, like a baby push car thing, like an old fashioned metal one. And we were like, putting seats in it and adapting it to like go around and stuff like that. And then his dad helped us, like take some of the components of that, like the wheels and stuff, and put them onto this like big sign with like an old car seat that he had, like actual seat from a car, not like a baby car seat. And we had like steering. There was like a rope that went to like
Wow.
the front thing that was on a pivot. Yeah. At one point we attached a bicycle to that. So
You
could
should be an
power the bicycle.
engineer.
Well, I'm a software engineer, so none of this was helpful. But
So
yeah,
it's like a soapbox car, racer car.
right. Yeah, but we just did it just for fun. I wonder if it's still there.
Push it down the hill or something.
There
or-
weren't many hills on the
How
property.
did you go?
We mostly just like run behind it, pushing
see.
it, taking turns. Or like I said, there was one time we just like attached a bike onto it. But you look like you're gonna say something.
I was gonna say, do you think that there's any chance that it got converted back into a pork store sign?
Very low chance, but I won't say zero. Yeah.
Just curious. They're like, oh, we're opening up a pork store. Didn't we used to have a sign? Oh shit!
Right.
It's this car. What do we do? Let's unfold
God.
it.
That's right. Let's just leave the car seat on
Sorry,
there,
that
hang
was
it
a
up. Yeah.
wacky thing for me to say. It just like popped into my brain and
Hey,
I couldn't stop.
follow
If
their
that
thoughts,
actually
yeah.
happened, I would be impressed.
Yeah, I'll talk to William. We did reconnect a couple of years ago when I was in the UK. I haven't seen him. I saw him like right before COVID, and then I haven't seen him since all that stuff happened.
Is he an engineer?
No, he has done a bunch of different like little odd job type careers.
Does he own a pork store?
Not to my knowledge.
Does he race cars?
Shit.
He did buy like the super tricked out like Jeep that he had last time I was over there. And he had like motorcycles for a while and that kind of thing. He also this is a total.
So he's a bit of a motorhead. So
He is, but he's also just like really into a bunch of weird things. Yeah. He got into taxidermy because I think his girlfriend like got him a class, like a course. So they were doing like taxidermy together.
I did not see that going in that direction.
Right.
I'm not gonna lie.
But he also like kind of tangentially to that like has a few like actual human bones that he's been collecting. Not from like people he's known, but like
People he's murdered.
no, it's like medical samples that have
he
like
bought them from like
medical
a
sample.
yeah, so there's like a skull that's like an actual human skull that was used as like a doctor's aid for a long time. Nowadays they're all, plastic and that kind of stuff, but like back in the day they actually used some real bones for these things. So yeah, he had some. I don't think I'm outing him. I think it's okay for him to have these things.
Sure,
Or
we
maybe
don't
he
know his
doesn't-
last name.
Right, he might not even have them anymore. But this is all like long after I left the UK. But the one thing
Does he listen? Is he a listener of the pod?
I have to assume so.
Hi, William.
I haven't told him, but
I'm glad that you don't own a pork store, or
Right.
I would be concerned that you're a serial killer.
Well, that's how
a
he
good
gets the
point.
bones because
That's a good point. Yeah, they eat the meat off. Yeah, like
Yeah.
in Silence of the Lambs, or was it the second one? Maybe I don't know.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Silence of the
Silence
fully
of the-
adult sheep.
Right.
Silence of the pork.
But the one specific memory I have from these sleepovers that I'm going to talk
Sounds like a
about,
porno.
it does.
Sorry.
The one specific memory I have that I'm going to talk about as the last thing, and it's going to sound so anticlimactic after human bones and pigs eating corpses.
Yeah.
We had this thing we would do for many, many like months, like maybe even over a year, where like anytime we would do a sleepover at his house, we would always make a concoction drink, which was just like whatever we found in the refrigerator and just like mix it all together and then put it in the freezer. And then we had to try and drink it. And it was never good. We never got through any of them. And it was just like something that we thought was really fun for some reason to just like mix, milk and juice and Coke and, whatever.
Mustard.
We might have put mustard. Yeah.
Oh God.
Mustard and milk will make you throw up immediately.
Oh, well,
It's
then,
like
yeah.
chemical
then
reaction.
That
in
sounds
your
right.
stomach.
But yeah, then we'd freeze it.
Really?
Yeah. If you mix mustard and milk, I did it one time in school to get out of going to school. I was like, I'm sick.
Nice.
We used to do that at parties with people who were too drunk that we wanted to throw up. We'd be like, "Hey, drink this," and they'd be like, "Okay."
Oh goodness.
Works.
It's
Science, bitch.
it's tough love. I'm doing this for your own good. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know why that specifically stuck in my head as just like a thing that we always did that never made sense to me, but we did it every time and we thought it was great. And I remember one time like we forgot to clean out the cups, and the next time I went over there like a couple weeks later, so moldy that he just like threw these glasses into the field and was like, they're dead to us now.
Nice. That's where trash goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Field cups.
Outdoors.
Yep. You live on a farm, you can put it anywhere.
True.
Yep, exactly. So yeah, sleepovers with William. Those were a thing for a long time.
It's great. Sorry I took on so many tangents there. Wasn't
fine.
trying to be distracting, but
No,
just
you're
really
good. The
brought up
tangents
some
are where
big
the like real
meat and potatoes,
texture
Meat
of
and
this
potatoes.
podcast comes
That's where
from.
bacon and pork rinds and whatnot come from.
And
Pork store.
human corpse. Yeah.
You ever see Snatch?
I don't think so.
That guy's like,
It's a Jason Statham, right?
yeah.
Yeah, I think I saw
Be
it.
wary of a man who owns a
not the-
pig farm.
That's not the one that's about boxing.
No, that's two Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking
yeah,
Barrels.
Okay.
That's his first like indie flick kind of, but they both kind of go along the same.
Okay.
Like,
Right, they're both the
genre.
same
Like,
director,
I feel
right?
like
yeah.
I
Yeah.
saw Snatch, but I don't really remember it. But that's what made me
Brick
think
top,
of it,
yeah, because he feeds all of his victims to like the pigs.
Oh yeah.
Because the pigs will eat every last pig.
Right. Yeah. Pigs are good little boys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome to our new podcast, Pork Store.
Yeah.
Great.
Cool. Well, that's what I got. Who wants to go next? Who wants to follow that act?
So I'll go
Sure,
next.
man. Yeah, you might as well.
Yeah, I'll go next. So specifically I had a lot of sleepovers when I was a kid, just
Yeah.
had friends, whatever.
And had a lot.
But the specific ones that
Not to
I
rub it in or anything.
Right. I had
the specific
William.
era of sleepovers that I really remember pretty thoroughly was middle school time, like maybe 7th, 8th grade for me.
Oh.
And it was, I specifically remember I had a birthday party one year and I had all of my friends come over and have a sleepover. And
Oh.
several of my friends brought their Xboxes.
Ooh.
Oh.
Stop that. You're distracting.
This is for the listeners. They love
Yeah,
the
it's
groans.
for the meme. I love it, but I also hate it, and I need you to stop. So, So
Getting some side eye over here.
a bunch of my middle school friends brought over their Xboxes, and we did like a System Link Halo 2 party
Nice.
where we, plugged all the different Xboxes in and played like, 12 player or whatever.
And you had like
Awesome.
5 TVs or
yeah,
something.
like a bunch of TVs,
Yeah.
and we all just
Yeah.
sat around and played Halo like all night, and it was just so fun. I didn't have an Xbox at the time, so I liked games like Halo and stuff, but I didn't have access to them unless I was with my friends. So
Right.
it was cool to like have all my friends over and have like so much Halo going on.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
was just like,
Too much Halo. Did you
Yeah.
drink Mountain Dew all night?
I don't
Like-
think so, but I don't remember. Probably some sort of
Yeah.
soda pop.
And Halo 2, that was on the original Xbox, wasn't it?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
I do believe so. Because later, way later, not way later, but like my sophomore year of high school, maybe my freshman year of high school, Halo 3 came out. And my friend Cody and my friend Brennan and I went to homecoming because our homecoming dance for our high school was that night. We went to homecoming just as like buddies, just like hanging out, stag, whatever, and left super early and went home and waited for the release of Halo 3 and
Nice.
downloaded it or bought, like I think he had bought it, so maybe he already had it, but we went and we skipped out on homecoming dance early to go play Halo 3 all night, and we just stayed up all night and played that game.
Your
And
priorities were in the right order. Yeah.
it was like
Yeah.
revolutionary. They added all these things like the boosters and like some of the
Right.
like armor mods and stuff, and it was just like, what? And we just played it all night, and it was
Yeah.
just like so epic. Like I don't regret not really going to homecoming. I mean, we went for like 2 hours or something,
That was
and then
plenty of
just
time, yeah.
dipped. And
Yeah.
You'd come home plenty of times by then.
yeah,
There's
we
there's no need to stay at homecoming for that long.
Yeah.
we didn't have dates or anything, so
Right, your
c-
date was with
clearly
Destiny,
we
yeah.
clearly we didn't have dates because we were going to
Your
go
date-
play Halo 3
date
on
was with
release
Master
day.
Sergeant, you
yeah,
know?
Master
Master Chief,
Chief.
yes.
Yeah, that's one. Yeah, Master
Yeah,
Chief.
but
That's embarrassing for you, Graham.
yeah, so
I'm just kidding.
several of my like sleepovers I mean, I did, like I said, I did a bunch of them. I'm sure all of us did, but the ones that I really remember were like Halo themed, basically. One other one that I remember for a different reason, but my neighbors, when I was living at my parents' house, I was in high school, and my neighbors were like out of town, so they're like, hey, it's just next door neighbors. And they're like, hey, can you go watch our house, and just like you can stay at our house and
Have a party at our house.
well, yeah. So they're like, you can stay at our house and just like feed the dog and whatever. And it was
Yeah.
just right next door to my parents' house. And my parents were like, you can't have any friends over. And so me and my brother were over there, and our neighbor Harrison was like one
Harry
of my
Harrison.
Wait a minute. This is a real name?
His name was Harry.
Oh, okay.
Harris. His name was Harrison. I called him Harry.
Oh,
but-
I thought that was his full
No,
name.
no,
Like,
no.
wow. Was
No,
he
no.
Harry?
no, his name was Harrison Carter.
You guys remember
actually.
Harry and the
Oh.
Hendersons?
Yes,
I
of
don't.
course. Oh, yeah.
really?
No, I don't think so.
It was like a movie first and then a TV show.
Yeah, I
right?
think so, yeah.
Okay.
John Lithgow was in the movie.
yeah, he
I
was.
think.
Holy shit, you're
It's
right.
about a family who adopts a Bigfoot into their family.
Oh, sick. That
It's
sounds
a
fun.
I'd
sitcom in
kind
the late 80s.
Fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
That
should
sounds
check it out.
fun.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But my friend Harrison came
His hairy
came
friend.
over, and he lived just like in the other cul-de-sac. So it was like he just came over, and we like kind of snuck him in, and then my parents like knew for sure,
Yeah.
but then they were like came and like it's 9 o'clock at night or something, or 10, and they're
Like sneaking in the back door or something.
yeah, well, he's already in there. Like, we're like watching a movie or whatever, and my parents like came and knocked on the door, and they were like, "Hey, we're just," and he like ran down to the basement and was like in the
man.
basement, and they're like, "Yeah, we're just coming to check in, see how things are going," and we're like, "Oh, it's good. We're just hanging out," and they're like, "So where's Harrison?" And we're like, "What do you mean? He's probably at his house." And they were like, "No, we know he's here." And he like came like slinking
up
up
the
the
bed, yeah.
stairs like. And they were like, we got in trouble because we weren't supposed. They specifically told us we
Yeah.
couldn't. It's like we weren't doing anything bad. We weren't drinking or partying.
Right.
We were like literally my brother, me, and the one neighborhood kid who was like one of my best friends was
Right.
just like watching a movie.
Right, you were abiding by the spirit of the rule of not trashing the house,
Right.
but
Yeah.
not the
But
word of the
The,
rule.
the intention
Yeah.
of the rule.
Right.
Yeah.
They were like, we weren't doing anything crazy, but they said don't have friends over, and we did, and so we got in trouble.
You should have tried a loophole where it's like, I actually hate Harrison. He's not my friend.
He's not my friend.
Yeah.
I keep telling him to fucking leave, and
That's
he
right.
won't.
Yeah. So
Told
I
him-
don't have a friend over. I have actually my nemesis. So
I made a
nemesis.
deal with him that if I hung out with him tonight, then I would never have to hang out with him again. And you're ruining that, Mom.
except maybe tomorrow night because we also have to watch the sequel. Yeah.
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 Tomorrow we're watching. What was the movie?
Back to
Have
the
you
Future,
checked
too.
the children?
What?
What is that movie?
You know what I'm talking about, where there's
Yes.
like the guy that's in the house.
Right. Yeah. It's not one of the Scream movies, is it? No.
No, it was its own movie.
I feel like I know what you're talking about, but it's not coming to my brain right now.
We used to watch that movie with him because it freaked him out. He was always freaked out, and so then we would like call him on our, we didn't have cell phones, it was like home phones. And
Yeah.
we'd call, and I'd be like, "Have you checked the children?" And he'd be like, "Stop it, Sam!" Like, hang up. I hope you're
Wait.
listening to this, Harry.
Is it The Others?
No,
Okay, because they have some weird stuff with the kids in that one as well. But
no. It,
sorry to force you to Google it. We can do some hold music.
When a Stranger Calls.
Oh, okay. I guess I haven't actually seen that one.
When a stranger calls. But yeah, the like scariest line is like the guy is in the house and he calls
Yeah.
from inside of the house and he's like,
Yeah,
"Have you checked the children?"
which of course is another,
It's like a babysitter thing.
call like a what am I trying to say? It's almost like a meme, like the calls coming from inside the house.
Something that I
Yeah.
try to just integrate into my daily life.
Trying to say that every day.
Right, you just work it into a conversation.
Yeah. No. But yeah, that's it for me. Those are my sleepover stories. So yeah, Halo and breaking rules. Yeah.
Sweet.
Great.
Yeah.
Breaking the
what a rebel.
rules.
Breaking the law. Yeah.
Breaking the law. Yeah. So mine, like you guys said, I had many sleepovers throughout my childhood career.
Cool, good story. And that's the episode.
Thanks for listening to.
Nothing happened that was of any note or anything. No, one of them that I remember specifically was I must have been like probably 6 or 7. We were like, I was like super little. My parents decided to have a party in the backyard, and it was like a sleepover party. And so it was like all of our friends brought their kids over, like all my friends, and we put up like 3 or 4 tents in the
The parents
yard.
were sleeping over too, or just the
I
kids were sleeping over.
Don't remember. I'm pretty sure it was just the kids.
Okay, I was gonna
Okay.
say that sounds like just an excuse for your parents to have a party with their friends.
Yeah.
Like, we're gonna be in the backyard. Don't come out here
right.
till after we're already sleeping in our tents.
Exactly.
Kids, your job is to keep bringing beers out.
Yeah, make sure the stove's turned off.
Yeah. Yeah. So I remember it was like, I just remember like it was like all my friends were there. There's probably like 10 kids or something. There was tents in the backyard. There was like 4 tents. We had a big backyard. So there was like tents everywhere. And we were like running around and there was like games and stuff and it was super fun. And I remember like there was a fake wedding with one of my friends and one of my other friends.
Okay.
And you know, like how little kids will go to like, they'll act like they get married or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they like got married.
Did they get fake annulled too? Or
No, I don't know.
No,
They probably
they fake consummated
they're
the
probably-
marriage. It was not that easy.
it was a sleepover.
This is our special
Oh, wow.
tent over here.
God, terrible. We apologize to the PTA.
sorry, PTA.
They love us.
And then there was sparklers. So everybody's like lighting sparklers. And then this woman got burned really badly, like a 2nd-degree burn or
They're
something.
super.
Oh, wow.
They get super hot.
Yeah.
Sparklers are dangerous.
I don't remember exactly how it happened, but somehow the sparkler like fucking got her in her hand or whatever, and it like burned like.
melted.
Oh yeah,
into
like,
her hand.
and she had like, I remember like went from, oh, this is really fun to like, this is traumatic, like
What's
that.
I
Yeah.
thought we were done grilling
Oh, yeah.
for the night.
Oh no.
And yeah, oh god.
Yeah. Meat's
Yeah.
back on the menu.
So
Have you checked the grillion?
so yeah, she had to go to the hospital, and
wow. Wait, for 2nd degree? It must have been woman
I
with
don't-
2nd degree.
Yeah, I don't know what degree. I'm not like a degree guy,
Just didn't go to college.
Yeah, well, see C's get degrees.
Not
but,
like a degree guy, but
yeah. Well, it's
what's the
On a scale of 1 to Deadpool.
first
Right.
degree worse or less?
Third
less.
degree is the most. or-
Well, I
is it?
think it can be worse than that. So I believe the like technical specification is based on like how deep the burn goes. But like the rule of thumb that we learned back in like first aid in elementary school is like first degree is like red, second
Okay.
degree is blistering,
Okay.
third degree is like blackened like tissue damage, that kind of thing.
God.
And then I think fourth degree is like if it goes like really
To the
deep.
bone or
Yeah, that
something,
kind of
it
thing.
like melts your muscle.
I could be making up the fourth
Jesus
degree one, but
Christ.
I think that's true.
Okay.
But yeah, so second degree would be like blistering.
Yeah, I don't. Man, because I was like so little, and I kind of like I don't know, but like she was like not doing well. She
Yeah.
went to the clinic or the hospital or whatever.
Yeah,
I remember
sure.
she left, and like
Burns are
that.
serious,
That put like a
They hurt,
huge.
yeah.
It kind of put a damper on the whole thing.
I mean, that's a good.
Is it cool if Carol still stays
That's right.
Yeah,
That's kind of a good test though, because if any of the kids were just like, "That was awesome, let's party," you're like, "There's a sociopath in the making."
Something's
yeah.
not right with that kid.
That kid's opening a pork store.
Right? Yeah,
Like,
Kid's gonna own a pig farm one day.
that's right. Don't trust him.
Yeah. So yeah, and I just remember like after that we like continued on with the thing. Everybody like slept over. We like had a pretty like good time, all things considered. You know. But that was cool. And then I just remember like I remember when I started getting older and started playing video games with my friends. Like, dude, we used to play. We used to stay up like time to go to bed, and we're like, okay, you know, and
Right.
then like. Yeah, exactly. You're like,
Wow, that's real snoring.
yeah, you hear like the adults' footsteps and then the
Yeah.
door closes. You're like, all right, let's go play. Let's go turn on the TV. So then
Yep.
we like get up and we're like, we have it on like silent.
Yeah.
But we're like, all you hear is clicking buttons. Click,
Right.
click, click, click.
Yep.
And we would just play video games for like till like we couldn't stay up anymore, basically.
Yeah.
your buddy's asleep on the couch, and you're like, "Ha! Beat you again! Beat you again! Okay, this isn't fun anymore."
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. I can't really think of anything else particular. I remember one time I went over. One time I was like probably 12 or something, and I had this friend, and like I went over to his house, and he had a sister, and
We like where this is going. Yeah.
well, so it was like, so he had a sister, and she was like my age, and this kid, my friend, was a little bit younger than me, and I just remember like somehow like, you know, we were kind of that age where we were like, we like didn't know about like we were like kind of getting attracted to like the opposite sex, but we didn't like know anything about it, kind of
Right.
thing. So it was like, just remember like at some point, like she's like, "Do you want to make out tonight?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do." Well, I had no idea what that meant. I was like,
Yeah.
I didn't even know what that was like. Do we just rub our like noses together, or like I literally didn't know like
Right.
what that meant.
Is making out eating pizza? Because
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
It was like I'm like, and I was like excited because I was like, oh yeah, this is cool. But
Oh, I
was
forgot
like,
to bring my Harry Potter book.
yeah, exactly.
How are we gonna do
Right,
it?
right. It was like when it was like those awkward
Yeah.
early.
Did you guys
Like,
kiss?
preteen-
Did you guys
no.
get a little smooch on? Or what?
I
No?
think her brother like put
Put the kibosh on it. Yeah. It sounds like Peter Pan, where
But
it's
like,
like, I'd like to
yeah.
give you a kiss, and it's like the thimble, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, I think we were like in the room together, and I was like, I don't know what to do, and she was like, I don't really know what to do either. And then he just
Yeah.
came in, and I was like, okay, I think we should like, you
He's
know,
like,
I just
hey,
don't-
bro, that's my sister.
exactly.
Stop making out with her if that's what you guys are currently doing. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. I've
Yeah.
never seen it before. Yeah, because like like when you're a kid, you're like, all right, so the word "make out," what does that like literally mean? Does
Right.
not mean kissing somebody.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, I was like,
That's a fun, cute story.
yeah,
you know?
So anyway, could have been my first kiss, wasn't?
That's okay.
Yeah,
You'll
Yeah.
get there eventually.
That's
one
right.
of these days.
But if you guys keep listening to episodes, you'll hear about his real first kiss. No, I don't know.
you might.
Yeah.
It's not a bad topic to talk.
Yeah.
My story is
not a bad-
pretty
yeah,
funny. So
Ooh, all right. Well,
Pretty
we-
good
first
let's
kiss
not
story.
spoil it then.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, good. All right, good. Can't wait to hear this one.
Yeah. Cool.
Cool.
Well, that's it.
I think that's going to do it for this episode of Wax Nostalgic. Thank you for listening. If you have any thing you want us to talk about, any recommendations for topics, we would love to hear them. Feel free to give us an email. Ryan, what's our email address again?
It is info@attnlab, that's attnlab.com.
Great. Yeah, send us some suggestions. We're thinking about starting to do some segments on people's suggestions and recommendations.
Yeah.
So we'd love to hear from you. And keep,
Or even just, leave a comment wherever your comments are found.
Right.
leave us a Spotify
we have
comment.
so many socials that we're still just getting spun
Find
up,
us on a social, leave a comment.
Yeah, come on, be a little social with us.
We will be social with you.
Yeah.
Chances are we'll even check those messages eventually.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
great. Well, that's going to do it for us. I have been Sammy Disco Savage.
Oh, I think we need to. I was thinking this earlier. I forgot to say it. I think Graham Gumshoe Johnstone.
Graham Gumshoe Johnstone.
Okay,
I
fine.
love it. Sammy Disco Savage.
Graham Gumshoe Johnstone.
And Ryan TBD Kerwin.
Yep.
TBD.
Pun Daddy over here. All right. Thanks for listening.
See ya.
Bye.
Hey. Wax Nostalgic Podcast was produced and recorded at Black Dove Studios in Denver, Colorado. Audio post-production and engineering by Sam Bagnall. Video production and post-production by Graham Johnstone. IT and social media management by Ryan Kerwin. Check out this and other creative projects by adding to the noise at attnlab.com. That's attnlab.com.